Donald Trump a wannabe dictator? It's because he is. It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully.
Is there something going on that we're missing?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, whose balls is he hiding in his cheeks?
Yeah.
That's the first question I want to know. And I don't love the way he says, fierce.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Folks, apparently Tim Walz has more secrets than your uncle's locked garage, and Tyrus just exposed every last one of them. This isn't your typical rant. This is Tyrus going full scorched earth, tearing into Walz's closet like he's hunting for free Wi-Fi, and what he finds is wilder than a raccoon loose in Walmart at 3 in the morning. You'll want popcorn for this one, because once Tyrus starts talking, there's nowhere left for Walz to hide.
It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the out of him back. This is a weak, cruel man that takes it.
If you're enjoying this, make sure to subscribe to the channel because it helps more than you think. Tyrus didn't just wake up, pour a cup of coffee, and casually decide to bring up Tim Walz's name. He probably checked the headlines, scrolled through his phone, and finally said, "Enough is enough." And when Tyrus says enough, it doesn't sound like a polite Midwestern complaint. It sounds like the start of a WWE promo where someone's about to get body slammed through the political coffee table.
Is deeply part of it. That's one of the, I mean, I think it goes, and you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement.
How do you fight it?
And well, this
I
notion
think
of
I could kick most of their.
What he's mad about is his own fault. He's mad about the image that was portrayed of him as the hunter. And who did that? You did that. We just laughed about it because the one thing you can't do is you can't front. You can't floss. Those are two key words when it comes.
You can't ignore it. There he is, going off on Tim Walz and leaving everyone stunned. Not because Tyrus is loud, he's always loud, but because suddenly the spotlight is on Minnesota's favorite relatable dad turned governor. And the cracks in that all-American image are showing like a pothole in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. A teacher snatches the bully's ass up. Yeah. Come sit with me. That's why I know someone's bullying. Oh, you can sit with me for a while. And then I would lean on him. I'd bully him back. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a creepy guy who can't remember his speeches. I don't know what the hell was in the water in that White House, or was everyone on the same bad cocaine? But Kamala can't speak, he can't speak. Biden was so high he couldn't remember anything. Like, this is literally the dumbest administration of all time. Why is he talking?
It really is the ultimate clown show. And I said this in the 5. He's a
See, Walz has been sold to America as the calm, regular guy, the kind of man who'd help you move a couch, wave while mowing his lawn, and bring potato salad to the church picnic. But Tyrus isn't buying the potato salad. He's poking it with a fork, sniffing it suspiciously, and saying, "This doesn't smell like authenticity. This smells like 2-week-old politics left out in the sun."
For Elon. I would be furious if I was him. If this is who you sent to troll me?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong to get the guy from D Team to come out at Family Theater and call me names?
Yeah.
Like, Tim, I would, if they were like, "Oh, Tyrus, man, tough news cycle. Tim Walz is talking about you." I'd be like, "Old Timmy, I want to fight him."
What? And that's the first punch. Because Tyrus doesn't see Walz as the lovable everyman, he sees him as the politician who mastered the art of smiling while quietly slipping new policies under the door like a hotel bill you never agreed to pay. The thing is, Walz's background reads like a movie script meant to inspire teacher, football coach, veteran, small-town values, and when you hear all that, you think, wow, this guy sounds like the human version of a State Farm commercial. The problem is that once he got into office, the script didn't match the performance, and that's where Tyrus starts digging. Because if there's one thing people can't stand, it's the gap between what politicians say and what they actually do. In Walz, oh boy, he's got gaps wider than a Minnesota pothole. In January, Tyrus pulls receipts not with binders and charts but with the blunt force trauma of comedy, calling out Walz's greatest hits. Like the COVID-19 lockdowns that turned Minnesota into the state where you could buy booze at the gas station but couldn't sit in a church pew. And because Tyrus never stops at the easy stuff, he digs into the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the flip-flops that Walz has collected, like Pokémon cards over the years.
DMs, like just one arm, and I just want to slap this. He's so weak. He brings nothing. If you were gonna go after someone, man to man, hit him with a fact, hit him with something real.
Yes.
You don't have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, hey, Tim, you want a job? He would take it. Because that's what spineless, he would, and when he was questioned, he was like, I was just holding him in account. You know, I respect him and I'm so happy to be working for X. He is the worst player on their team and they don't mind sending him out because
They're trying to get him off the table.
Yeah.
They're putting him out early so he can't be a factor.
1 minute Walz is pro this, the next, he's cautiously anti that, depending on which way the political wind is blowing. And if you think Tyrus is going to let that slide, you haven't been paying attention. Tyrus doesn't just call it a flip-flop. He says Walz is doing so many backflips he could audition for Cirque du Soleil and still stick the landing. If Walz ever quits politics, he's got a future in acrobatics. It's like a politician insisting they shop at Target while being chauffeured there in a black SUV that costs more than your mortgage. The disconnect is so huge, you could drive the entire Minnesota Vikings offensive line through it and still have room for the mascot. And this is where it gets juicy, because Tyrus doesn't just call out the policies or the contradictions, he digs into the performance behind it all.
Look, he has a sports coat and a zip-up sweater underneath. No man wears that.
I may have done that in the past.
Yes.
I
You've
won't
done that
now,
many
Tyrus.
No, and one day somebody's going to explain what a corporate income tax is to these people. It's not paid by this. It's not paid by the corporation. It's not like a building that goes, I've got to pay taxes. It's the workers.
Because let's be honest, politics today is as much about performance as it is about substance. And Walz knows how to play the part with the tone, the look, and the vibe, but Tyrus calls it nothing more than smoke and mirrors. He compares it to watching a magician at a kid's birthday party where everyone else is gasping. But Tyrus is the guy in the back yelling, it's up his sleeve, and that kind of blunt honesty is what people latch onto. Because once someone points out the trick, you can't unsee it. Suddenly, Walz's ordinary guy brand looks less like authenticity and more like the political version of an Instagram filter. The pandemic response was one thing, locking down gyms while letting liquor stores stay open, but then came the unrest after George Floyd's death. The streets were boiling, businesses were burning, people were scared, and leadership was supposed to step in. Yet Walz delivered what many saw as indecision, delay, or confusion. And Tyrus, never one to pull punches, paints Walz, standing there like a guy holding a garden hose at a 5-alarm fire, just hoping the wind changes direction.
That's a big red flag. Whenever you meet someone and they have to give you their resume,
yes.
and then as soon as they talk, you're like, that's why you gave me your resume.
Yeah, because it doesn't speak for itself.
You suck.
Yeah. It's like when people have their PhD
Yes.
on their Twitter handle. It's like, you know, this person's completely bonkers.
And their pronouns.
Yes. Are you mad, though, Tyrus, that, like, beards have been kind of co-opted by beta males like Tyler?
No, because
Watch what you
it's
say.
like all. Wait, hold on. Watch what I say. I will around, stick my hand up your back, and make you my puppet.
And that's where the sarcasm really lands. Because Tyrus doesn't just say Walz failed, he turns it into a full-blown sitcom moment gone wrong. The kind where your neighbor promises to fix the fence, but shows up with duct tape and a shrug. And that's the picture he leaves in your head. By the time he's done, Walz isn't just a politician with a few missteps, he's a walking contradiction wrapped in a cardigan of folksy charm, hoping no one notices the policies held together underneath. The genius of Tyrus going off on Tim Walz isn't just in what he says but how he says it. He doesn't sound like some political analyst buried in spreadsheets for weeks. He sounds like your loud uncle at Thanksgiving, who's finally done pretending the turkey isn't dry. Walz loves big promises free this, expanded that, opportunity for all, and on paper it sounds like Minnesota is about to turn into a Nordic utopia with lakes, loons, and universal health care for goldfish. But in practice, the execution often feels like a middle school group project where everyone forgot their part.
Would have won, Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, feels sorry for him. But they made it.
That's where Tyrus really locks in, pointing out how Walz talks like the hero of a Hallmark movie but governs like someone who ditched the script and started ad-libbing the political version of karaoke where you know the chorus, but start mumbling halfway through, hoping no one notices. Take taxes, for instance. Walz loves to brand himself as the champion of working families, but those same families keep finding higher tax bills in their mailboxes. Tyrus skips the boring budget talk and paints it like Walz, sneaking into your house at night, digging through your couch cushions for spare change, and then proudly declaring he's investing in the future. Meanwhile, Minnesota's schools are in crisis mode, with test scores tanking, curriculum battles raging, and parents feeling more lost than a cat tossed into a swimming pool. Tyrus tears into that, mocking the irony of a governor who once taught kids about responsibility, but can't seem to steer the state's education system away from one iceberg after another.
What do you make? Whoa, you got something there?
Hold on, before we do this, man, I got to protein up. Hold on.
Chug, 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 chug. Oh, he's chugging it, huh?
I need more protein, Guffel. I got my protein pudding, my protein shakes, jerky if you piss me off, but this ain't enough protein for this segment, Greg. I gotta old school this story here.
Where'd you get that?
Then there's Law and Order, which could be its own Netflix drama with all the contradictions involved. Walz talks like the empathetic leader who cares about justice, fairness, and reform, but the moment chaos hits, streets erupt, windows get boarded, and everyone in charge is scrambling for answers. Tyrus calls it out like a sitcom gone off the rails, picturing Walz stepping into the chaos, clapping his hands and saying, "All right, guys, let's calm down," while the whole scene plays out like Black Friday at Walmart. And when Walz leans on his military background for credibility, Tyrus isn't impressed. He compares it to flashing baby pictures to win an argument, something you pull out when you're out of ideas. But the real punch comes when Tyrus mocks the performance itself, pointing out how Walz has perfected the art of looking somber when it pulls well and cheerful when it's politically safe, comparing him to one of those mood rings from the 90s.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there? I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just...
And the real punchline is how Tyrus paints Walz as the kind of guy who literally rehearses empathy in the mirror, asking himself, do I look concerned enough? Should I tilt my head a little more? It's over the top, but it sticks. You can't help but imagine Walz standing in front of a bathroom mirror practicing his "I care about this issue" face before every press conference. Tyrus also takes aim at Walz's favorite theme, unity. Sure, he talks about bringing Minnesotans together, but Tyrus says the state has been about as unified as a family Monopoly game. After 2 hours, people arguing over rules, flipping the board, and storming off, Walz rolls up his sleeves, cracks a dad joke, maybe drops a line about his small-town roots. But to Tyrus, that's just political cosplay, like a used car salesman putting on a baseball cap to look relatable. The car still doesn't run, but hey, at least he looks like he'd watch Sunday football with you. The sharpest blow comes when Tyrus argues Walz's biggest secret isn't in policy, but an image that he's not the everyman at all. He's a carefully polished product designed to look like one.
P nominee Tim Walz, he joined Beto O'Rourke at a Texas town hall last night, and the estrogen levels were enough to give Chuck Norris menstrual cramps. I wonder, is our strength our diversity?
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years,
as a country of immigrants. And we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them.
So, wait, you lost because you weren't woke?
And once Tyrus peels back that packaging, you're not seeing Minnesota nice anymore, you're seeing politics as usual, just dressed in a plaid shirt instead of a suit. By this point, the audience isn't just laughing, they're nodding, because even if they don't agree with every jab, they start to notice the pattern. The contradictions stack up, the irony piles higher, and the humor makes it impossible to look away. That's when Tyrus shifts gears from roasting Walz to exposing the bigger picture, showing that Walz isn't an exception, he's a symbol of politicians everywhere who promise one thing, deliver another, and still expect applause for the performance. In Tyrus's version, Walz is running Minnesota like a guy who lost the IKEA manual but insists he knows what he's doing. Pieces don't fit, screws are missing, and the whole thing wobbles if you lean on it. But hey, doesn't he look confident holding that Allen wrench? By the time Tyrus wraps up his second wave of punches, Walz's carefully polished image looks less like a trusted leader and more like a stage prop in a political play. And the audience is glued to every word, waiting to see what else Tyrus is about to drag out into the light.